imagine a Roman emperor, probably one of the most powerful people on the planet at the time.
Right.
Not just, running an empire, but also really grappling with how to live a good life.
That's Marcus Aurelius.
Exactly. And his private journal, Meditations, it's incredible how much it still speaks to us today.
It really does.
Okay, so let's unpack why this ancient wisdom still hits home.
Welcome, everyone, to this deep dive. We're here to explore important sources, and we'll bring you the core insights without the overwhelm.
And today, it's all about meditation.
That's right. Especially for you, our listener, the learner, who wants that solid understanding without getting totally bogged down.
And so what are we working with? Which version?
We're using excerpts from a pretty early English translation by Marcus Casaubon back in 1634.
Wow, 1634.
Yeah, specifically from the 1906 Every Man's Library edition. It just gives a certain flavor,
And remind us, Marcus Aurelius was emperor when?
He reigned from 161 to 180 AD, the last of the so-called 5 good emperors.
And this wasn't something he wrote for an audience, was it?
No, not at all. These were his personal notes, his reflections, like a private diary.
Which makes it even more fascinating, right? A world leader wrestling with these huge questions just like we do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you can see he was influenced by the big names, Plato, Socrates, but especially the Stoic philosopher Epictetus.
Right. And we should probably mention there are loads of other translations, and people have written tons about him, like Renan and Pater.
Definitely. Shows how enduring his ideas are. We won't dig into those specific commentaries today, but it's good context.
So what's our mission for this deep dive then?
Our goal is really to pull out the key Stoic ideas that Marcus Aurelius lived by, or at least strive to live by.
Practical stuff.
Exactly. Practical wisdom from these very personal writings. Stuff that can actually offer some guidance for, dealing with life today. We want to give you more than just a summary, something deeper, more actionable.
Okay, so where did his stoicism even start? It seems like he gave a lot of credit to the people around him.
Oh, absolutely. The very first book of Meditations is basically a thank you list. It's quite revealing.
Really?
Yeah, he talks about learning just by watching people, his mentors, his family. He really breaks down the virtues he admired.
Like what? Can you give an example?
Well, he credits his father for teaching him meekness, constancy, diligence, really specific things. And from someone called Maximus, he learned how to keep a cheerful spirit, even when he was sick. Others taught him things like avoiding vanity or not getting easily swayed by what everyone else thinks.
It makes it feel very personal, doesn't it? Not just abstract philosophy.
Exactly. It really grounds the philosophy in lived experience and relationships.
So this idea of focusing on virtues learned from others, that leads into the core Stoic beliefs, right? This focus on what's truly important.
Precisely. Because at its heart, Stoicism argues that the only thing that's truly good is virtue.
Virtue itself.
Yes. And the only true evil is vice. Everything else, your health, your job, money, pleasure, pain, reputation, all that stuff.
Yeah.
They call those indifference.
Indifference, meaning they don't matter.
Not quite.
Yeah.
Not that they don't matter at all, but they aren't inherently good or bad. They're more like the stage.
The stage,
Yeah, the arena where you get the chance to act virtuously.
Yeah.
That's the key. Health is preferred, sure, but being virtuous when you're sick is what truly counts.
Okay, I think I get that. So the goal is?
The goal is to become the wise man, or woman, of course. Someone who is self-sufficient, content because of their inner virtue, basically regardless of what's happening outside.
Right. And how did they see the bigger picture, the universe itself? That seems pretty fundamental.
It really is.
Yeah.
For the Stoics, the universe wasn't just random chaos. They saw it as this rational, ordered whole.
Like intelligent?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Often equated with God or maybe the divine. Not necessarily a person like God, but the underlying intelligence, the governing principle of everything, the logos.
Okay.
Think of it like the inherent logic and design within the cosmos and our souls. They saw the human soul as connected to this universal reason, almost like a spark or a fragment of that divine intelligence.
And does it go back?
The idea was, that it's meant to eventually be reabsorbed. So living according to nature was crucial.
What does that mean, though, according to nature?
Well, two things, really. First, our own human nature being rational, being social. And second, the broader cosmic nature, accepting its cycles, its inevitabilities.
Like seasons changing, things being born and dying.
Exactly. And a big part of that was working for the common good because we're all part of this interconnected system.
Okay, so virtue is the key. We're part of this rational universe. How does Marcus Aurelius then say we should actually, handle things, day-to-day life when things go wrong.
And this is where meditations get so incredibly practical. A huge idea is that external events, things outside you, they can't actually harm your inner self, your soul, your mind, your ruling center, as they called it.
Wait, getting fired or someone insulting you, that doesn't harm you.
Not directly, no. According to the Stoics, what really causes distress are our judgments about those events, our opinions.
So it's the interpretation.
Precisely. Aurelius is constantly reminding himself, like in Book 4, that things themselves don't touch the soul. They can't get in, basically. Don't let external happenings knock you off balance.
So it's all about managing your internal reaction, not trying to control the uncontrollable outside.
You got it. That's fundamental. And tied to that is another key principle, acceptance.
Acceptance of what? Just anything.
Acceptance of what you genuinely cannot change. The Stoics believed that what happens is either part of that divine plan we mentioned, or it's just the natural way things unfold in the universe.
Like cause and effect.
Yeah, or just the natural order. They stressed how everything is interconnected.
Yeah.
So what's good for the whole universe, or the whole community?
Is ultimately good for you too.
In the grand scheme, yes. Resisting fate or resisting nature just leads to, well, needless suffering.
Can you give an example?
Think about getting stuck in terrible traffic.
Yeah.
The traffic itself is just traffic. It's external.
Right. Annoying but external.
Your anger, your frustration, shouting at the car ahead.
Yeah.
That's your internal judgment causing the suffering.
So the Stoic approach would be...
Accept it. Okay, I'm in traffic. What can I control? My breathing, my thoughts. Maybe listen to a deep dive.
Nice plug. Okay, that makes sense. What about our minds constantly racing, dwelling on the past, worrying sick about the future?
Oh, yeah, they had a lot to say about that. Stoicism puts a massive emphasis on the present moment, right now.
Why the present?
Because it's the only time you actually live and act. The past, gone. Can't change it. The future, uncertain, not here yet.
So obsessing is pointless.
Pretty much. Aurelius constantly tells himself, focus your energy here, now. Live virtuously in this moment. He has a great line, something like, never let the future disturb you. You will meet it if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present.
Wow, that's powerful. It sounds very inward-looking, though. What about other people?
That's a great point. And it's a critical balance in Stoicism. It's inward-focused in terms of control, but very outward-focused in terms of duty.
Duty.
Yes. As rational, social beings, we have a natural duty toward each other. We're part of the same whole.
So be nice to people.
It goes deeper than just nice. Aurelius writes a lot about kindness, understanding, tolerance, even for people who mess up and do wrong.
Why tolerance for them?
He often suggests they err out of ignorance. They don't understand what's truly good. So try to teach them, or if not, bear with them.
Bear with them.
He talks about this interconnectedness, we're all limbs of the same body meant to work together. That sense of community, our role in it, is vital Stoic ethics.
Okay, so duty to others, but what about our own internal chaos? Like anger, jealousy, desires that pull us around.
Self-control is paramount there. Stoicism offers a framework for managing those disruptive emotions and desires by using your reason. Constantly examine yourself. Are my thoughts and actions aligned with reason, with virtue? Aurelius pushes for living according to your own reasoned judgment, not being swept away by passion or fear.
Is that where the idea comes in about external things not causing pain, but our estimate of them?
Exactly. He literally says something like, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. It's about taking back control of your inner judgments.
Okay. And one last big one people associate with Stoics. What about things like fame, reputation, or even death?
Right. Well, from the Stoic view, external praise, fame, it's pretty worthless ultimately.
Why? Seems nice to be liked.
Because it's fleeting, it depends on others, and it doesn't touch your actual character, your virtue. They saw how quickly reputations change. It's an indifferent.
And death. They weren't afraid of it.
They aimed not to be. They viewed death as completely natural, part of the cycle.
Like leaves falling in autumn.
Exactly like that. No more to be feared than being born or growing old.
Yeah.
Just a process of nature, a change. So Aurelius encourages detachment from chasing praise and a calm acceptance of mortality. Part of the deal,
You've laid out so many powerful ideas. Are there any specific quotes or images from meditations that really stick with you, that capture these principles?
Oh, definitely. When he says something like, the time of man's life is as a point
Just a point.
Yeah, the substance ever flowing, the sense dim, the whole compound body tending to corruption. It really hammers home the brevity, the need to focus on the now, on virtue, not trivial stuff.
That's sobering.
It is. And there's another great analogy he uses about being like a promontory, a cliff headland.
Okay.
He says, be like the promontory against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it.
So standing strong internally despite external chaos.
Precisely. That image perfectly captures that Stoic ideal of inner resilience.
And it's just so wild to remember who was writing this. Not some monk in a cave, but the Emperor of Rome.
That context is absolutely crucial, isn't it?
Yeah. He's dealing with wars, like against the Marcomanni tribes.
Right. Constant campaigns on the frontier, plagues, political intrigue, personal losses. He lost several children, his wife.
And eventually his successor, Commodus, turned out to be, well, not great.
Understatement. So these reflections weren't born in peaceful contemplation. They were forged in the thick of it, in the middle of immense pressure and difficulty.
Which makes the advice feel even more earned somehow, more credible.
I think so. It shows these principles being tested in the real world at the highest stakes imaginable.
And you mentioned earlier there are some echoes, some parallels maybe, with other ways of thinking, other ethical systems.
There are, yes. You can see similarities in the emphasis on things like moderation, self-control, compassion, maybe a certain detachment from worldly things.
Like in Christianity or Buddhism, perhaps?
You could draw some parallels, certainly. The focus on inner judgment over external validation, the unity of humankind. But the underlying foundation is different, you know.
How so?
Stoicism is very much grounded in reason, logic, and understanding the natural, rational order of the universe. That's its distinct flavor.
Okay. So let's try to bring this home. As we wrap up this deep dive into Marcus Aurelius, what are the, say, 2 or 3 absolute key takeaways for you, our listener, looking for that practical wisdom?
Okay, 3 things maybe. First, really grasp the power of your own mind. Your responses, your judgments, that's where your control lies, not in trying to change every external event. Focus there.
Right, control the controllables, inside.
Exactly. Second, cultivate acceptance. Acceptance of what's truly beyond your control, seeing it as part of a bigger picture, part of nature. Fighting reality just drains you.
Makes sense. And third?
Live right now. Focus your energy, your virtue, your attention on the present moment. That's the only time you actually have. Don't let the past haunt you or the future paralyze you.
Focus, accept, live now. Powerful.
They really are.
So here's a final thought for you, Xuan. If a Roman emperor, juggling war, plague, and personal tragedy, could find real solace and practical guidance in these ideas, what might they offer you in navigating your own daily battles, big or small?
It's definitely worth considering.
Absolutely. We really encourage you to maybe pick up meditations yourself, see how these ancient thoughts resonate today. You might just find a surprisingly relevant and powerful source of inner strength.